Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Let's go ahead and begin today's meeting. This is the Inland Valley Development Agency regular meeting agenda for Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. Good afternoon to our viewing audience and our public, those present. This time we'll call to order our meeting. And if our clerk could please call the roll.
Certainly. Please state your names for the record. Members from the City of Colton.
Frank Navarro.
And for the record, Member Suchil is also present. Members from the City of Colton. Oh, I'm sorry. Members from the City of Loma Linda.
Bill Duper.
Dusty Rigsby.
Thank you. Member from the County of San Bernardino, 3rd District. Thank you. And members from the City of San Bernardino.
John Valdivia.
Theodore Sanchez.
Fred Charette.
Thank you very much. We have a quorum.
Okay, very good. At this time, are there any members of the public wishing to address public comment?
I have no public comments for closed session items.
Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and recess into closed session. Okay, good afternoon. Let's go ahead and resume this open session. We have just come from our closed session meeting. At this time, we'll call to order our open session. And I will ask Councilman Sanchez, sir, would you lead us in today's Pledge of Allegiance? All rise.
Just let me report that there is no reportable action from a closed session.
I'm sorry, thank you. Okay, very good. Thank you, Councilman. At this time, all members being present except Supervisor Hagman, we will proceed on to item number E. Are there any items to be added or deleted?
No items, sir.
Conflict of interest disclosure from members? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number G, informational items. This is item 2A, our Chief Executive Officer report, Mr. Burrows.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm going to jump to 2B, or not 2B. I am happy to report that after your last presentation from Mr. Tom Dodson, the team has actually stayed the course. All edits are in, both from the cities, the sponsoring entities, East Valley, San Manuel, as well as our team. And we are going to be in line with the notice of preparation to publish both the notice of the EIR and have the draft plan uploaded on our website and sent to all of you and your staff next week. So Wednesday, it looks like the NOP will be ready for publication because it's not the document, it's getting the newspapers lined up. And then as soon as it's ready to go on the website, you all will get an email from either Jennifer or myself, and then we'll also copy your city managers and staff, so everybody has it live at the same point, same time, and then by your July meeting, I plan to have Mr. Dodson here to talk about public outreach and get your feedback on the schedule for that, because that's going to be really important with this process. So thank you for your patience with this. It's a large document in the respect of, having to deal with many structure, planning, land use, kind of the future of our corridor north of the airport. So that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Burrows. Any questions? If not, I want to commend our staff here. Thank you very much, Mr. Burrows, for a great report. The Airport Gateway Specific Plan promises approximately 700 acres north of the airport that is adjacent and abutting the airport properties. And we anticipate a lot of good traction, and so we thank our staff here for their diligence, efforts, and focused energies to make that happen. So thank you, Mr. Burrows. All right, let's move on to item number H. This is board consent items, moved by Duper, second by Navarro. Any final polls or questions? Okay, Ms. Clerk, please call the roll.
We have a motion by Member Duper and a second by Member Navarro. Members, please state your vote for the record. Member Navarro.
Yes.
Member Suchil?
Aye.
Member Duper?
Yes.
Member Rigsby?
Yes.
Member Rao?
Yes.
Member Valdivia?
Yes.
Member Sanchez?
Yes.
And Member Charette?
Yes.
Thank you. That item is passed unanimously.
Okay, very well. This is board action items. Item number 6, to approve the form of a lease agreement with Echo Tech Visions, Inc. for the use of certain portions of former Norton Air Force Base, building number 58. Our presenter is Mr. Hale. Mr. Hale?
This is exciting. Recommended the board's approval of a lease form. At the IBDA board meeting on May 11th, Dr. Gibson of Ecotech Visions gave a presentation pertaining to this business incubator company for a lease agreement form for a large portion of Building 58, located at 195 South Del Rosa, frankly, right across the parking lot, for about 40,000 square feet. And lease term be for about 5 years, with a 2-year option to extend.
Okay, does that conclude your presentation?
I'm sorry?
Does it conclude your presentation, sir?
I'm not sure how deeply to go into this relative to the presentation she gave a couple weeks ago or last month.
Okay, very good.
Any questions,
All
I'd be
right,
happy to
we'll
answer.
take that as you. Is there any final questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
All right. Suchil on the mover and Sanchez on the second. Any final comments? If not, we'll call the roll.
Thank you. We have a motion by Member Suchil and a second by Member Sanchez. Please state your votes for the record. Member Navarro?
Yes.
Member Suchil?
Aye.
Member Duper?
Yes, with just a comment that it should be noted for the public that we're receiving approximately $40,000 per month. Yes.
Thank you. Member Rigsby?
Yes.
Member Rao?
Yes.
Member Valdivia?
Yes.
Member Sanchez?
Yes.
And Member Charette?
Yes.
Thank you. That item passes unanimously.
Okay, this is item number 7, to approve the form of an employment agreement with Michael Burrows to serve in the capacity of our Chief Executive Officer. And our presenter is Mr. Lewin.
Thank you. Mike Burrows has served as our first executive director and then retitled as CEO since July of 2015. His current employment contract will expire on June 30th of this month. On it, we have for review this time contract. His contract also requires an annual performance review to be completed by June of each year. We have completed that review. That was the final portion of our closed session here, was that exact review. At the direction of our board, I would like to recommend that his contract be extended, or actually a new contract extended to him with a term of 2 years. For the salary, it would recommend a 7% increase over the prior salary for the 2-year term of the contract, which result in a salary number of $289,626. That is inclusive of a COLA, so that would be the set salary for that term of the contract on it. Mr. Burrows does not take an insurance plan. He has separate insurance, so that would not be part of the contract under that. His review, as I will leave to board members state, was very favorable. As your legal counsel, I would recommend approval of that contract.
Okay, very good. Are there any comments? I, for one, want to compliment Mr. Burrows. Mr. Burrows, thank you very much for your professionalism and your leadership here at our airport. We have seen substantive increases in our economic values here in the revenues for our stream at the IBDA and SBIA. And I can speak on the IBDA side, although I'm a member of SBIA. That'll be handled later. But Mr. Burrows, thank you. Thank you for increasing streams of revenue here at our airport, increased improvement in efficiencies in operations. In addition, I am very, very excited about the Breeze Airways opportunity and launch beginning August of 2022. What an accomplishment. And so I want to commend you publicly. Thank you, sir, for your diligence and your efforts. It's much appreciated. Mr. Navarro.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to add a comment to what I've seen since being on IBDA, and the leadership that's been demonstrated by Mr. Burrows here at this agency is really outstanding as far as I'm concerned. Not only has he done a lot of work on the leases and things here at the airport, but the actual IBDA economic development around the airport. Tremendous growth. with other agencies, CAL FIRE and all those other agencies, the San Manuel Tribe, all those pieces that come together outside of the airport where we are the influencers, I should say, of economic development in those areas. Thank you very much for your leadership on that, sir.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. Just a quick question for clarification. I sit on both Sevilla and IVDA, and sometimes I get the hats mixed up. So can you please, just for, I guess, the purposes of everyone, so this salary that we're voting on is our 50% portion of that salary?
No, as I was listening, as soon as comments were done, I was going to clarify for the public record here. Mr. Burrows also sits as the CEO of the San Bernardino International Airport Authority. The contract is cost allocated 50% to the IVDA. It would be allocated 50% to the Sevilla Airport Commission Authority. That will have to go for approval at the commission, which I believe is 2 weeks from now on it.
So the numbers we're talking about today, this board is responsible for 50% of those?
50% of that 289,626 number. Thank you,
Thank you.
Supervisor.
Yeah, when you see your budget in a couple of weeks on Sevilla, yeah, it would not double this.
I'm like,
by any
wait,
means.
what?
Mr. Cousineau would not allow that, believe me.
Thank you. I was waiting for comments so I could make that
It's been a couple
clarification.
years since we've done that. I just want to double check.
Okay, Mr. Rigsby.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
I will second.
Okay, mover by Rigsby and second by Duper. Any final comments? Otherwise, we'll call the roll, please.
Thank you. We have a motion by Member Rigsby and a second by Member Duper. Please state your votes for the record. Member Navarro.
Yes.
Member Sucho.
Aye.
Member Duper.
Yes.
Member Rigsby.
Yes.
Member Rao.
Yes.
Member Valdivia.
Yes.
Member Sanchez.
Yes.
And Member Charette.
Yes.
Thank you. That item passes unanimously.
Okay, very good. This is item number 8, to consider and discuss a report on annual business plan progress. Mr. Burrows.
And again, I'm going to hand it to a very, very capable and qualified individual on our talented clerk of the board team. Caleb, take us away here. A lot of hard work in this, and we really appreciate our clerk of the board crew. They not only deal with all of your board operations, agendas, records management, they also do our GIS and prepare these wonderful story maps every year. So Caleb, show us this year.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Caleb Zaldana, and I am the staff analyst to the clerk of the board. And today I will be presenting the IVDA story maps. Okay, and as a brief overview, the IVDA was established in 1990, and since its formation, it has been dedicated to the effective reuse of the former Norton Air Force Base. And the agency is governed by members from the county of San Bernardino, as well as the city of San Bernardino, the city of Colton, and the city of Loma Linda. And continuing on to the business plan and key initiatives, in December 2015, the IVDA board adopted a 5-year strategic plan, and in 2020, the IVDA completed a business plan update. And this business plan update focuses on economic development, but it also focuses on infrastructure as well. And another important focal point is the SBD International Airport. The airport is certificated by the FAA under Part 139 as a public commercial service airport. And SBD has a presence in the following segments, such as air cargo, maintenance, MRO, general aviation, corporate aviation, and will soon host air passenger services as well. And with regard to the economic development portion of this plan, in 2002, the IVDA entered into a master disposition and development agreement with Hillwood and formed a partnership now known as Alliance California. And as showcased in this map, you can observe the number of projects accomplished through this partnership. Additionally, the IVDA achieved a new milestone for 2021 as the base project area has generated a record total assessed valuation of $9.6 billion. And for further observation, you can see here on this chart. And moving on to Alliance California, or to its goals, excuse me. Through this partnership, Alliance California has been able to identify 3 goals. The first one is changing the landscape, and secondly is to increase the tax base, and thirdly is to bring jobs back. And on the similar note of job creation and retention, the IVDA reuse area has reached a milestone of creating and retaining 17,129 direct jobs. Moreover, in-plan analysis showed an increase in output, generating over 3.6 billion in economic output. Also noticeable is the increase in e-commerce and air transportation, which also encompasses air cargo. So moving on to Alliance California current projects. The first one that we can see here is the Northgate Building number 2, which will have over 127,000 square feet once available. And we also have the Gateway South Building 6, which is now complete and has 135,000 square feet available. And on to IVDA infrastructure. Since its formation, the IVDA has overseen over 304 million in public infrastructure. And one of those projects is the 3rd Street and 5th Street corridor. As of current, design for the project is now complete, and construction bids have been received by the City of Highland and are being reviewed for conformity in order to make a recommendation to the EDA. We also have the Mountain View Avenue Phase 2 widening and reconstruction. Construction commenced in November 2019 and was completed in April 2022 in coordination with the Redlands Passenger Rail Project, as well as the cities of Redlands, San Bernardino, and Loma Linda. We also have the Norton Air Force Base Water Tower. As we know, the water tower is an iconic structure and holds a special historic value for the Norton veteran community. In March 2021, the IVDA board approved an agreement with AeroPro in order to restore this water tower, and the restoration process was completed in February 2022. And next, we have the Airport Gateway Specific Plan. On June 2016, the IVDA board approved an agreement for the preparation of a multi-jurisdictional specific plan, and currently, PlaceWorks is working on or completing a draft of the remaining chapters in the specific plan, and are also focusing their efforts on a public outreach plan for the project. The specific plan is scheduled for publication in June 2022. And we have the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. And the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or CEDS for short, is required at least every 5 years to qualify for EDA assistance. And the 2022 annual update to the 5-year CEDS will be completed and submitted to the EDA by October 2022. And another important segment of the airport is the UAS Center. Not only is it important to the airport, but also to the local community. The UAS Center provides training of unmanned aerial systems, not just to emergency personnel, but also provides programs for youth, as well as those seeking job preparation skills. And it also provides a secure location for companies looking to research and develop new technologies within the UAS tech sector. And with regard to our educational affiliations, the IVDA continues to partner with a variety of educational institutions to continue to foster and foment the love of learning within our local community. And it's with that that I'd like to thank the board members for their time, as well as the staff who made this presentation possible. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Aldania. Are there any questions, comments? Okay, all right. Is there a motion necessary?
No, it's a receive and file, and just understand this story map will be live up on the website as of today's meeting, and your staff and partners out there, if somebody asks about IVDA, what is it? Point them to the website. It's a good tool to kind of give a feel for the work that you all do. Thanks.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Let's move on to number 9. This is to consider and adopt the Inland Valley Development Agency successor agency budget for the fiscal year 2022 to 2023. Mr. Kuzno.
Thank you, Mayor. If we go to the next slide, please. As you can see, the successor agency is funded by the property tax increment proceeds that were, as mentioned in the previous presentation, are doing very well by several factors of what we actually pay out for our debt service. But within that, we have the Capital Projects Fund, which is essentially inactive at this point, and the Redevelopment Obligations Retirement Fund. Next slide, please. The next 2 slides are essentially the sources and uses of the property tax increment revenue. This obviously is the sources, And next slide, it is all going to fund our debt service. And it's very in and out, relatively simple budget. And then with that, to our next slide, please. Nope. You have the budget before you on page 73 of your packet. And I would say the only thing that bears mentioning here is that our administrative fee for managing is down to $100,000 a year, and that is part of the true-up. It's about a 3-year process to get to the final year of the true-up. When we were under litigation with the State Department of Finance and others, we had substantially higher administrative fees. Those have gone away, and this is the true-up year, and it should return to a slightly higher level. We are well below the 3% that we're allowed by statute, and that is all that I have here. I would conclude this report and ask for your adoption of the budget.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Kuzno. And final comments, questions? Navarro? Okay. Navarro on the motion, support with Duper on the second. Okay, let's call the roll, please.
We have a motion by Member Navarro and a second by Member Duper. Members, please state your votes for the record. Member Navarro.
Yes.
Member Suchil.
Aye.
Member Duper.
Yes.
Member Rigsby.
Yes.
Member Rao.
Yes.
Member Valdivia.
Yes.
Member Sanchez. Yes. And Member Charette.
Yes.
Thank you. The item passes unanimously.
Okay, very good. Item number 10 is to consider and adopt the Inland Valley Development Agency Joint Powers Authority budget for fiscal year 22-23. Mr. Kuzno?
Thank you very much. This will be another brief overview of IVDA's budget structure. As you can see here, our dominant or primary source of revenue is lease revenues and other miscellaneous revenues. Debt proceeds and tax proceeds are a dwindling or intermittent source of funds for the operation of IVDA. So those are characterized a little bit lower in the chart. But with that, that flows all into the IVDA JPA, Property Management Fund and Reserve Fund, which then comes up through a series of transfers and then funds the General Fund, Capital Projects Fund, Debt Service, which we have none, and our two enterprise funds, which is the Water and Sewer Fund, as well as our UAS Center at SPD. Next slide, please. As always, our revenues are conservative estimates. As I mentioned, we carried no debt while we do retain the debt service fund. We are continuing to fund our economic development reserve at $2.5 million. And the proposed capital projects fund includes $13.4 million in project delivery. These are the significant projects for this year. We have the EDA grant project, which is the essentially the third and fifth corridor, $6.7 million. Sterling Avenue grant project, $3.8 million. Other various road improvements for $1.5 million. Third and Fifth Streets, $680,000. Building 58 improvements, $350,000. And finally, the eventual purchase of the Building 48 solar system for $140,000. The sources of our funds, as you can see, primarily is Capital Projects Fund, and this includes grant revenues, which are reimbursement type grants for $11 million, almost $11.3 million. Next largest is our Property Management Fund, which has $2.4 million in lease revenues, primarily coming into that fund. Finally, the General Fund with $4.4 million. And then our smaller funds, our reserve, we're looking at $100,000 this year, as well as the Water and Sewer Fund, $245,000, and then the UAS Center at $423,000.
Question on that last slide. You said property management was second, but the number's half as big as general fund.
Yes,
And
you are absolutely correct.
And are they just mislabeled because the wedge is bigger for the smaller one?
They are mislabeled, and I apologize for that. Thank you. Next slide. And here you can see the annual budget uses. Capital Project Fund is basically $13.4 million. And this looks like we have the same, nope, this one's correct. The general fund is a 7.3 million, property management 4.2, and the reserve fund is $1 million, UAS Center at 354,000, and finally the water and sewer fund at 240,000. And that concludes that part of the presentation. And then as far as the budget, the proposed budget is on pages 81 through 85, or 86, or 87, I apologize, and as well as 88. And what I would like to do is discuss the changes starting on page 89 of your presentation to highlight a few of those. With that, salaries are increasing this year over the prior year's budget. Primarily, we have 4 new positions in IVDA. Some of them were started this year, and we have a couple starting next year. We have some reclassifications going on as well as equity and market adjustments. We also have our annual increases that are coming through. And with that, we've had increases in insurance that we expect to see coming up in the next year for employee benefits. The next line item would be software, and that's on page 89. And that is account 50770. We are acquiring new software to either give us the capabilities we do not have and or to increase effectiveness and efficiencies and actually kind of hopefully slow down our employee growth by actually being able to put the software to work. With that, I will go to page 91. And on the, does anyone have any questions on the general fund at this point? Let's move to the sewer and water fund. That is essentially unremarkable. That's on page 91. Revenues still exceed expenses. We expect that trend can continue. We have expecting minimal amounts of repairs and maintenance as in prior years, and hope to see that continue. Moving to page 92, the capital project fund. This is our portfolio of ongoing and future projects. They're not all undergoing at the same time, but we do ask for your approval of this. This does include this year our big federal grant dollar projects coming in for revenue to fund 3rd and 5th Street in Sterling. And then you also see, obviously, those were listed earlier as the projects that will be consuming those resources as well on the expenditure side. Are there any questions on the capital project fund? Hearing none, we will move to page 94 and the base reuse obligation reserve fund. The big item on this one for this year is we are transferring $1 million to the general fund. Last year, we seeded it with a number of good results from the financing of our sister agency, which repaid a number of loans IVDA had, providing us with a good base to carry forward with for the next few years. And that will take us to the property management fund. This is the fund that's the chief source of our ongoing revenues. For this presentation, we recharacterized accounts 40110 lease revenues and participation payments at 40065. Just to give you a little clearer look at lease revenues, there's a slight increase, primarily from CPI and some new leases we expect to sign. But the big change is we'll do the DFAS 2 transaction between the county and IVDA, which we sold. We have $2.5 million that we had previously had characterized as lease revenue, and we put it down in participation payments from the actual sale to better match our revenues. And there are none of those participation payments in the property management expected this year, though we do expect to receive $150,000 per year in participation payments for the next 25 years in the general fund. And I think that will conclude my presentation, unless there are any other questions.
Okay, we'll open up to questions.
Move approval.
There's a move by Rigsby, second by Navarro. Any final? I will call the roll, please.
Thank you. We have a motion by Member Rigsby and a second by Member Navarro. Members, please state your votes for the record. Member Navarro.
Yes.
Member Suchil.
Aye.
Member Duper.
Yes.
Member Rigsby.
Yes.
Member Rao.
Yes.
Member Valdivia.
Yes.
Member Sanchez. Yes. And Member Charette.
Yes.
Thank you. The item passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. This is item number 11, to approve certain professional services contracts for fiscal year 22 to 23. Mr. Kuzna.
And thank you again. And with this, we have our standard set of contracts that we use with professional services. We found this to be the most efficient and effective way of funding these services instead of providing in-house staff, which would not be able to have a significant amount of unproductive time if we did it this way. So we use professionals that are very familiar with IVDA, both historically and from performing projects. These are all time and materials or time and charges, and they are based on work orders or service requests, and nothing gets paid unless those all three match up. And with that, if you have any questions, be happy to answer any questions you have on those.
Question for you. When's the last time that the contracts have been bid for any of this work?
That one I'm going to have to defer to Mr.
Yeah,
Burrows.
it really varies. Obviously, you just went through that process with our auditors. The standing policy is look at going out for procurement every 5 years, and that's exactly what you all did. Legal counsel has been with us now for about 5 years, going on 6. And then various other parties in here are new as of maybe a year ago. Tom Dodson, for instance, has been with us for quite some time. But that's because of the corporate knowledge that he has, having done all the base environmental. There's a few that have been on a long time, and many of these others are within the last few years, I'd say 3, 4. So.
Going forward, if the staff could please, Mr. Burrows, provide a column.
On duration?
Yeah, when, aging report as to when the
Absolutely.
when the last contract was negotiated, when did they come on board? That provides clarity and transparency for the public.
Absolutely.
And, or a footnote of some sort indicating the year of their assignment and how long they've enjoyed 5 years here.
Happy to do so.
Very good. All right, any other questions? Okay, is there a motion for approval?
I'll move it.
Moved by Duper.
Second.
Second by Sanchez. All right, call the roll, please.
Thank you. We have a motion by Member Duper and a second by Member Sanchez. Please state your votes for the record. Member Navarro.
Yes.
Member Suchil.
Aye.
Member Duper.
Yes.
Member Rigsby.
Yes.
Member Rao.
Yes.
Member Valdivia.
Yes.
Member Sanchez.
Yes.
And Member Charette.
Yes.
Thank you. The item passes unanimously.
Okay, let's move on to item number 12. This is review status of the action plan for our agency, the IBDA, through June 30th of this year. Mr. Burrows.
Well, happy end of fiscal, everybody. Thank you so much for getting us a new budget. We really appreciate it. It's very important to continue the work that we do. And on a personal note, thank you for giving me the opportunity to continue to work with all of you, but more importantly, an incredible IVDA team that I greatly respect and enjoy working with every single day. Makes coming in here a pleasure. And so thank you for that, and we look forward to an exciting new year coming up here in July. And want to just also convey to all of you that Mr. Gibbs and I were talking with our partners at Breeze just yesterday, and they are very, very appreciative of the opportunity to buy SBD, and very, very encouraged by progress ticket sales and the like. So we'll have some more communications coming out, and on the Sevilla side here in a couple of weeks, a couple more events and so forth. But I do want to point out that as you begin to drive around the Inland Empire, as you all do, you'll begin to see some billboards and some other things out there that start talking about your little old airport over here and the investments that you all made in the infrastructure that will support flying SBD. So thank you for your leadership. That concludes my report.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mr. Cooper? Okay, very good. We will move on to Item K, any members of the public wishing to address the membership here?
I have no public comment slips in front of me.
Okay, very good. Item number L, board member comment, Mr. Duper.
I was just wondering, Mike, if you've got the latest fly-in movie night planned.
No. I don't know that I.
Just a little busy?
Yeah, a little bit. I haven't written any movies lately, thankfully, and it's probably good, a good thing. I think a few of the staff around here are glad I retired. Cat, shush.
It's August 4th on Breeze Airways. Please bring your iPad.
Absolutely.
That'll be the movie showing, God help us.
All right, well, great. Thank you, everybody, and seeing no further comments, this meeting stands adjourned. Our next meeting will be held on Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. Drive safe, and thank you.